Manchester United will be looking to offload several players in January, according to Fabrizio Romano. Rashford is set for a shot recall ahead of tonight's game against Newcastle. Antony is linked with a loan move, and Manchester United are struggling with the contract renewals of Kobbie, Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho. This plus all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's go through the transfer stuff. So Fabrizio Romano has said several players from Manchester United could be available on the market in January. Selling will be important due to the FFP. Only few players are considered untouchable. United are focused on the summer transfer window. January will not be a busy month in this sense and will depend on opportunities. So Romano saying several players. He didn't mention a few in the kind of video that he did as well. Eriksen, Lindelof, Antony, there's an update on him I'm going to bring to you in a second. And Casemiro were some of the names that he kind of dropped in terms of possible exits. Obviously, Rashford we know about as well. And we'll go through the rest of the kind of transfer stuff in a second. But, several players could be loot. Only a few are considered untouchable, which is interesting. And I was kind of thinking before we did the video, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it in the comments, right? Let me know who is the untouchables at United at the moment. In my mind, my opinion, you can disagree or you can agree. In terms of untouchable players you would not sell, Lenny Yoro, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Ugarte, Mainoo, Ahmad, Garnacho, Højlund for me are my personal kind of choices for players that I would consider untouchable at the moment. But even some of those would have question marks around them. So eight for me. Let me know in the comments how many untouchables have you got in the United squad right now. But then also the interesting thing that he was saying was the January in terms of incomings will not be busy. It would depend on opportunities, but January is always an opportunity market. It's not the place, I've said this before, it's not the place you go out and make wholesale changes to your squad in January. I do think we might have room to manoeuvre for one or two players. Like I said, we need a left back desperately. There's loads of talks around that. And then an opportunity, someone like a Naipan, for example, which would be an opportunity, could be possible. But again, a lot of it's going to depend on the financial situation and exits. Definitely one to keep an eye on, though. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know who's your unsellable players, though, as well. It'll be interesting to hear your opinions on that. So a player that you mentioned there, Eriksen, Manchester United are prepared to lose Christian Eriksen on a free transfer when his contract runs out in the 6 months, as Ruben Amorim sees no future for the midfielder. That's hardly breaking news, but it's always been likely that Eriksen would leave, or this would be his last year. There's talks about potentially a January exit as well, which would free up some funds and help us with FFP. Could be then used to bring somebody in if the opportunity arrives, but that shouldn't really come as a great surprise to anybody that Eriksen is going to leave in 2025 because he's out of contract, and I do think they would look to maybe move him on in January, which is interesting, isn't it? Because we've already got a bit of a midfield crisis at the moment with Ugarte and Bruno being both suspended for tonight's game. You're already looking at the squad thinking, God, one or two more injuries or suspensions, and we are really, really light. Definitely starting to become a problem area, I think, that midfield. I don't know why we're not looking at Angel Gomez, I keep thinking about Angel Gomez. He's going to be available on a free and could be a really good opportunity to get somebody cheap in the midfield in January. But I'll keep an eye on that one for you. Let me know what you think, though, about Eriksen in the comments. Now, Real Betis have approached Manchester United for the loan of Antony, although the operation is considered very difficult within the club due to the player's salary. Now, that came from a Spanish journalist who's got ties with Real Betis. I think it's one of their kind of local news outlets. Was reposted by some credible sources, though, but I don't know the credibility personally. But, that would be an interesting option. I don't know if loaning Antony out, though, helps us, but if they could do like a 50% of his salary, it does free up a little bit of money to help us with FFP. There might be like a small loan fee as well. Again, it's not going to help us for January, but would definitely help us avoid, a points deduction next season if we're in that much of a financial kind of mess with everything that's happening financially at the club at the moment. So that's one to keep an eye on. Again, I don't know if loaning Antony, though, really, really helps us, but it might be all we can do. But I'll keep an eye on it for you. Would be an interesting option, though. Real Betis and Antony. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, he's not the only player that's been linked with loans. So Leicester City have made contact with Manchester United over potential loans. Now, there was reports before about Van Nistelrooy potentially wanting to take in Toby Collier and a few players like that as well. So that would be interesting for some of our fringe players or some of our kind of youth players to go out and get a bit of experience. I would be all for that, loaning them to Leicester to give them some kind of minutes and some first team experience. Obviously, Van Nistelrooy will know a lot about them with his time at the club as well. I'm coaching them behind the scenes. So I could see that as a good move for some of the players, depending on who it is though as well, because we don't want to leave ourselves too short because we are struggling at the moment in certain areas on the pitch. But I could see a few, like Harry Amas, for example, that would be a good loan opportunity for him. So I could see a few players potentially benefiting from a loan to Leicester. So definitely one to keep an eye out there. Now, Marcus Rashford will be recalled to the Manchester United squad for the game against Newcastle tonight, mainly because of players missing that came from United's menace, who are quite good when it comes to United kind of team links and injury news and stuff as well. So that's one to keep an eye on. Potentially Rashford recalled tonight because obviously Bruno's out, Ugarte suspended, and we are light up front as well, and the rest of our forwards have been... Yeah, enough said about that in front. But he's another player who possibly could be looking to move out in January as Rashford. So the mood at Manchester United is that the standoff between Marcus Rashford and Ruben Amorim is nothing like as toxic as the feud between Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. Then the terms offered, an apology from the player, were never going to be met, or at least not in public, until eventually a truce was brokered at the end of the season. Amorim has asked Rashford to meet his standards. So that came from... a decent source in the Telegraph, basically saying that the situation with Rashford and Amorim behind the scenes is nothing like the Sancho Ten Hag situation, and that it's more, he's asking Rashford to meet his standards, which is, it is what it is. But then United Scout, we were getting a decent kind of not the most credible, but quite decent when it comes to things going on behind the scenes at United, said that since the derby, Rashford's conduct in training has been low grade. A source has stated Marcus seems emotionally detached. Amorim has made his decision on Marcus long term. He's not in his plans. And there's been a few other stories kind of effectively saying that that Rashford's made his mind up that he wants to go. So it's whether we can facilitate a move in January or not. Hopefully there's just some sort of conclusion sooner rather than later, because I, like you, we need, it's getting boring talking about Rashford all the time and every day. But again, it makes news. It's in the media. They're kind of regurgitating stories and stuff. And I'm here to bring you the news and show you where it's coming from and stuff. But yeah, we do need to get a conclusion to the Rashford situation. But let me know what you think about those stories in the comments. Now let's go through some transfer news. So Romano also said that Manchester United are monitoring the progress of Bournemouth left back Milos Kerkez, who has just signed with a new agency for 2025. Now that's interesting, because generally you'll only look to change agency if you're either looking for a new contract or if you're looking for a move. That's generally the only reasons why players will change agencies halfway through a season. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. Kerkez is the name that Romano's been heavily linking us with for a while. I do think he fits the mold of what we're looking for. Young, up and coming, good kind of prospect, Premier League proven. He does tick the boxes. Personally, I'm not really that fussy with the left back situation, because I think all of the names that we're linked with would come in and improve us. And I think it's just a case of the club weighing up the cost and who's more likely long term, and I would trust them to kind of do all that sort of things and make the right choice in regards to that. But Kerkez, definitely one to keep an eye on, but we know that anyway. He's on the list of potential left backs coming in. But let me know what you think about Kerkez in the comments. Now, the other player left back we've been linked with heavily over the last few days is Nuno Mendes. So Manchester United have asked about Nuno Mendes, who has rejected PSG's contract offer that came from Simon Jones in the Mail, who I would say take with a pinch of salt. But Romano, Manchester United appreciate Nuno Mendes ahead of the January transfer window. So Romano not kind of really giving too much away in terms of Mendes, just saying that he might be a name on their list as well. But more kind of specifically talking about Kerkez as well. But I do think, like I said, I'd be happy with either personally. Now, another player or another kind of transfer story to run through is regarding the goalkeeper situation. So Brighton's Bart Verbruggen is on the radar of Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim after a difficult few matches for goalkeeper Andre Onana, even before previous boss Erik ten Hag, who signed him from Inter Milan, was sacked. The Cameroon star 28 was unhappy with life in Manchester, and at present, Dutch international Verbruggen 22 seems to be the favourite on the Old Trafford stopper shopping list. With more than 3 years left on his contract on the South Coast, the Seagulls man, a £16.3 million buy from Anderlecht in June 23 would cost around the £30 million mark. Now, that came from the Daily Star. I would say take that story with a massive pinch of salt because they're not generally the most credible, but I wanted to bring it in because it does create a bit of an interesting talking point around the goalkeeper situation, because Verbruggen is a really, really good goalkeeper, someone I would definitely take at United. They bought him for £16.3 million in the same summer that we paid 55 for Andre Onana. And now, according to that report, if it's to be believed, which I wouldn't personally, we could be looking to remove Onana because he's not happy. £30 million coming in. The kind of question I wanted to bring to you, though, is would you do that deal? Would you be happy to sell Onana and bring in Verbruggen as a replacement? Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, just on the goalkeeper situation, so Manchester United is set to sack their chief goalkeeper scout, Tony Cotton. So more kind of ruthlessness from Ineos and more changes behind the scenes. Chief goalkeeping scout Tony Cotton is apparently reportedly ready to be, is going to be sacked as well. So whether that's got anything to do with the Onana deal and Bayindir, I've seen a comment actually on the story which said that he should be sacked for replacing De Gea with Bayindir and Onana, and you know, it is what it is. I think going on the criticism at the moment, like we're in such a negative headspace, right? Or I am anyway, personally, with United, because performances on the pitch have been absolutely terrible. We're 14th in the league. There's just not much to be positive around at the moment. And I do think the media are kind of feeding off this negativity by putting stories out around every player. Obviously, Onana is going to create headlines at the moment because he just let a goal in direct from a goal kick, which you don't see happen very often in professional football. Same with Bayindir did it the game beforehand against Tottenham. So I do think there's a lot of negativity around United at the moment. And some of these stories we do need to be careful with, because the media will run with it. They'll run with all the negativity because, negativity sells. And so we do need to be careful. But, that would be interesting that United are looking to move on their goalkeeping scout. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, another player we've been linked with over the last couple of days is Liam Delap. So Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City all want to sign Liam Delap. City have a buyback clause and here's a release clause for other suitors. So another kind of report linking us possibly with Liam Delap. I think his release clause is around £30 million, apparently, but City do have the buyback option or buyback clause, so they would get priority if any clubs come in for him, but it's going to be a summer deal anyway, that one, but just more links linking us with Liam Delap and United Frenzy, who are quite good, again, when it comes to things going on behind the scenes at United. I think they've got a connection or something at the club, saying that the club have continued to monitor Benjamin Sesko this season, really well regarded by their scouts. Liam Delap has also been scouted, as reported by numerous outlets. He has admirers within the club also. So Benjamin Sesko still a name that we're keeping an eye on, and also Liam Delap could be one to watch for the summer as well. But again, there's a host of clubs interested in him. And if he's got a £30 million release clause, I can see why that would be tempting for some clubs, because he does look like a good prospect. But let me know what you think about those stories in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding contract struggle. So Manchester United are struggling to reach an agreement on new contracts for Kobbie, Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho. Now, again, I don't trust the credibility of the source. Simon Jones, decent hit and miss, but, not the most credible kind of source. And I seen that story and I was like, hold on. Let's look into this. So Garnacho only signed a new contract in April last year, April the 28th, 2023, signed a new contract and it expires in June 2028. Mainoo signed a new contract in February 2023, which expires in 2027. So I don't think there's Mainoo, we've heard before that Ineos want to make him the face of the club and stuff, and there was rumours in the summer about possibly a new contract on the table for Kobbie Mainoo. Not really heard much about Garnacho in terms of a new contract, but I don't see why we're in a rush to offer them new contracts anywhere. They're both tied down for till 2027 and 2028 respectively, and they've only just signed new contracts a year ago. So why are we in a rush to sign them on new contracts. I don't kind of get it. If anything, I would be a little bit patient to see how they develop, because the problem we've had at United is we've given big contracts out to young players too soon, which has caused a lot of the kind of problems that we've had. Instead of being patient with them and just saying, well, okay, earn your contract by performing on the pitch and becoming consistent and stuff, and then yes, you reward the the good performances and the potential and stuff with new contracts, not just giving them out when they've only just like less than 12 months after they've been given new contracts. That just makes no sense to me anyway. So I don't trust the credibility of the source. I would say take it with a pinch of salt, but it's been in all over the news and bits as well. And this is what I was going back to saying before. I just think that because everything's so negative now around the club, obviously just around Ineos, or the charity donations being cut, and we're doing badly on the pitch. It's been a terrible, terrible season for us. I do think the media are feeding on that because negativity sells. So we do need to be aware that we will get some stories that are just shit stirring and are there just to stir the pot as well. And that was one where I kind of read it, and in my opinion, I kind of felt it was a little bit shit stirry, where they were trying to kick United while they were down by creating a frenzy around Mainoo and Garnacho. But the reality is they both got long-term contracts anyway, so there's not really a massive rush to get them on a new deal, in my opinion. But you can let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.